Time starts now.
Okay. Wow, it was good. Very interesting. And I thank you, Dea, the debate community of the Mizoram University, for inviting me as a guest. I really enjoyed the day. So then today I see a lot of upcoming politicians. I'd like to see you contesting as LPs, MLS, and other local elections. Well, I don't have much to say about that, but then before, in order to use my time, I'm just getting you some idea about the bill properly. One election, one nation, one election. One nation, one election is basically for the member of parliament, Lok Sabha, and the state legislative assembly to be held simultaneously. When we talk about simultaneously, many of you have the idea that it will be held in one day. No, it may be held in over 100 days, 3 months, maybe like that, but one period of time. So mostly this was on economic considerations, as you have said. And there are some guys who said, keep thinking that it's only because of the BJP only. No. When you talk about government, let's talk about not the party, but the government of India, government of Mizoram, government of Assam. Okay. So what the election is, when we talk about parties, it should be only in the atmosphere of elections only. And there is one very intriguing aspects of this one nation, one election. Because suppose if the elections are held together, Parliament goes smoothly, but the Mizoram Assembly goes not very smoothly. So after 2 years, it collapses for any reason. So what will happen to the rest of the 3 years? So election is to be held again for that particular 3 years. And some one of you have made a very beautiful argument. Because the next 3 years, people will not have a very serious thinking about the state development. Okay, since I've given all my marks, so I thought I'd speak for and on behalf, for and against. Now that is one aspect. And India, as you know, should not be compared with smaller nations around the world. India itself is a continent. India is called subcontinent. You can find in India people like me who look Chinese, and you find Tamil friends who are so black they are like African. Then we have friends from Jammu and Kashmir who are so white like European. So it's the whole diversities, cultural diversities are there, so we cannot really compare. And India has become a very successful, the largest democracy in the world. Now, I will not mention much about this because my distinguished judges, fellows, are experts on this subject. But what I want to share with you about debating and how to convince others. So, if you happen to see that in order to be a good debater, first of all, you have to make a very thorough preparation. I see some of you just come without much preparations. Okay, my fellows, my colleagues, my university asked me to take one, I take one. That's not very good. So you should have a very thorough preparations. And you should also anticipate arguments from the other parties. And you should also have evidence and examples prepared. And you have to be very clear and concise. And I understand that many of you might be the first time speaking on the podium like this. But nevertheless, it is not important how sweet or how eloquent you speak. What is convincing is that are you yourself convinced about the subject? Okay. The best way to convince others is to convince yourself first. If I don't convince that I'm a Christian, I have to convince myself that I'm a practicing Christian. Then only I can convince others that I'm a practicing Christian. Because unless and until you are convinced about the subject, you are not likely to convince others. So prepare enough, know your subject enough, the what, the why, the how of the subject, and convince yourself for the purpose you're speaking, for the purpose you're standing, so that others will be likely to be convinced. Until and unless you're convinced yourself, you cannot convince others, okay? Now, body language. When you speak, the moment we see you standing here, we will see, is this man, is this girl, is this boy really prepared or comfortable or not? Okay? So the body language is very important. Body language is, I say, practically more convincing than the actual words you're speaking out. Because your body speaks you all the confidence. Okay? So the next time when you speak to person one-to-one or in a public speech like this, your body language to say that yes, I know my subject, I'm quite good at it, I can convince you. Okay. Then I'll not go too much of this thing. But then what I have found out that is that in spite of all the for and against, one nation, one election, our young people should be prepared to vote the right way. It's very important. Whether it's one nation voting at the same time, or voting in phased manners, or voting at different points of time in the year. The only thing is that I request you guys, please, think yourself. You are a responsible citizen. You're a responsible voter. Please vote. Not on the basis of influence from others. Have, at least for educated people like you, have your own calculations, have your own determinations, have your own measurement. Okay? So that will help us bring this great Indian nation. Okay? So what I'm trying to impress upon you at this moment is that I'm so impressed with you guys, and I can see that many of you will be joining politics. And I tell you, don't simply love to it, because ultimately politics is the most important thing. I remember I stood here in this place 2019 when I was contesting as an independent candidate, Lok Sabha MP. Okay, I spoke well, but people did not vote for me. They laughed at me, they laughed at the speech, but people did not vote. Because good speakers are not the one whom we vote. People have different calculations while voting. So until and unless you vote in a fair way, you decide in a fair way whether it's one nation, one election, or in a staggering manner elections, it will not help us. Okay, it's not about expenditure. Many of you have pointed out very beautifully. This is our country. We'll pay. We'll let the country spend for the welfare of the people. So it's a welfare state. So let us put in your mind, and I request all of you, please determine to be a very neutral, fair voter. Mizoram, the state, the small state, India, the big country, needs a good voter. In order to have a good leader, good politicians, good public leader, we need to have a good voter. Okay, so please be a good voter. Thank you so much.